So in any case, we have a recording of today's webinar, and we'll do a write-up. So for anyone who's not able to join, we'll get the recording. Okay, so maybe we just get a start. So my name is Ina Jurga. I'm the International Coordinator for Menstrual Hygiene Day, just initiated by WASH United. You probably heard from me already. And I'm really, really glad we can host this webinar today. And it's, as the title says, it's about collective action to end period taxes in Ghana. So we're really looking at Ghana and what we can do. So really glad we can help to do this. This is organized together in partnership with Days for Girls Ghana and the World Association of Girl Guides and Girl Scouts, also with their African and Ghanaian team. So really the objective today is to take stock and bring you all together, because there has been movement around and campaigns around period taxes in Ghana. And some of you have been involved in this already, but there has been no political decision made yet. Some commitments, but it hasn't been enacted. So really the idea is to get together, learn from your campaigns, and also understand what's maybe missing and where we can all push together collectively to finally remove the taxes in Ghana. So it's really for you, this webinar, and not for us. Therefore, the agenda is a little bit as follows. I will provide a short setting the scene around period taxes globally and why we're doing this today for Ghana. And then we have partners from Ghana sharing their campaign experiences, what they've done, what worked well, but what also they think we should do together as a next step. So we have hopefully have soon. Oh no, there she is. Nana Abina Afadi. She's the program manager for Days for Girl Ghana. Welcome, Nana. We have two members from the Ghana Girl Guides and Girl Scouts Association. That is Sylvia Irenki. I hope I spelled it correctly. And we have also with us Amos Katzakpor. He's also waving. Great. And Lily Pearl Baba Otu. She's a founder for Bridge for Equity. So they share their experiences. Then we have time for questions and answers to them and further contributions if you've also done campaigning in your countries and want to share and add on this. And I want to save really some time at the end to develop with you an action plan. If we all agree that after we heard the presentations that it's still time to remove the taxes in Ghana, how can we really do this together and come up with some ideas and an action plan as a first step today? Might not be the end step, but really kicking this off, and I'm closing with some next steps. So without further ado, because we don't have so much time, and I want to give time to our distinguished presenters to set the scene why we're hosting this. So WASH United developed with thanks to funding from Reproductive Health Supplies Coalition, the Innovation Fund, the first global site that pulls together globally all the information around period taxes. It's called periodtax.org. And as you can see, there's a lot of resources that we have that you can look. So just to show that there's an advocacy guide that's for campaigners who wants to start, and it compiles experiences such as from country case studies that we have collected a few, and maybe we'll do a country case study for Ghana as well. We've done some research around that. Is there an impact on costs once the tax reduction or tax chain has been implicated? That's a big question. So I just want to guide you on this. And we've created some explanatory videos. So if reading is not, and you don't have time to read, we've created some really fun videos that put this into digestible format. But apart from that, just to set the scene, there are four reasons to remove the period tax. And these are as follows. First of all, I think we all agree that menstrual products are basic necessities and should be taxed as such. So every woman and girl and people who menstruate, they need this. It's not a choice. So they really need menstrual products to manage their periods hygienically. And in a country tax system, there's often a tax rate for basic necessities, such as food item. And we really want to acknowledge that menstrual products are also basic necessities and should be taxed in the same rate. Taxes on menstrual products are gender discriminatory. So really they discriminate women based on their biological process. And even worse, sometimes we have to pay for this. So this is another strong argument. The third argument that's played around in a lot of campaigns is that menstrual products are way too expensive, especially for a poor population. And therefore, by removing the tax, we increase accessibility and affordability for all. And here there's a lot of overlaps with general period poverty campaigns happening in countries that are also addressing free distribution of pads. So just to say that lowering taxes can reduce the price, but also it's only a fraction. So anyway, there's a research report that you can read and so on. And the fourth argument, and it's more of an understanding for you as a campaigner, we've seen it in all campaigns that happened in the last years, is campaigns for period taxes are really tackling the stigma attached to menstruation. It really started a dialogue among the general public in media with politicians around menstruation and around other issues where women and girls and menstruators are having challenges. It could be education, could be infrastructure, and simply the stigma by not talking about it. So this is really what we've seen has been really the fact and a huge driving factor and an entry point into other discussions. Currently, there are 26 countries around the world who apply 0% taxes. This is either tax exempt or zero rated, and 16 countries that apply a reduced rate, which is mostly in Europe because of the European law. One of the last countries was Mexico, and also Italy, and maybe you've just, I don't know, maybe you followed some news, but like in UK, the government said that the biggest achievement of the Brexit was that they now could get rid of the tampon tax, which was a huge discussion. So they really are really proud of removing the tampon tax, the current government. If you talk about taxes, it's mostly concerns the sales tax or value-added tax in the countries. But some countries have also discussed and initiated a reduction or removal on the import tax on products or on the raw material in order to stipulate access or your local markets. There's also more insights on the website, so just don't want to go into details, but I think these are all valid points and to make. Here's some just colorful example how this was taken to the streets, and some really nice activities on social media, just to set the scene. And here I pulled in some of the pictures from Ghana. So you already get in the mood, and we'll talk about all this a little bit more in details, what we've seen. And if you've been involved in some of them, please type it in the chat box. Just from this global perspective, I just want to give you some pointers. I think in general, a tax removal is a relatively quick policy process. So governments are changing, doing annual budgets and so on, and it's relatively easy compared to set up a period poverty policy where it's all about free access and distribution schemes and the logistics and the funding behind it. So tax is just for the government, it's really, really quick actually. as I already said, the price reduction might still not be guaranteed. It can be guaranteed. So, but there are enough arguments why to remove taxes. It's really a way to strengthen also local companies and local production. And as I said, it's an entry point to discuss other aspects. Sometimes it sounds a bit not very motivational when I say this, but it's just for you as a campaigner, it's good to know in order to not have problems like in Tanzania, where the tax was reinstated. So just for you as a prop, before we go into the campaign examples, I just want to say you've done amazing campaigns, as we saw, so don't give up. We've seen campaigns that succeeded within a year, but Australia campaigned almost for 10 years. Not that you do, I think you're much further, but it needs sometimes a little bit of a breath and doesn't go that quickly. And what I really would love to see is campaigning together. I think and coming together here is already a great step to see how you can work on joint messaging, pull in resources and for activities and targeted follow-up. We can think about identifying further allies and champions within the government. I think you have already great champions there who announced it, as you saw, but maybe that's not sufficient yet. And where's the media in this? Or where can they help and support and push? So these are all pointers, as well as use the MH Day as a key opportunity where there's heightened attention to the issue in media within the government. But you all know that. I think you're all experienced campaigners and you've been involved in the issue. So these are just pointers from my end. And a quick intro. If you want to know more, go to peertext.org. So with that really quick blast, this is the core. This is what I'm most excited about. We invited 3 campaigners to share their experiences and give your perspective. And I first want to give the floor to Nana, program manager for Days for Girls Ghana, to share their activities and insights. Over to you, Nana. I hope your audio works. And yeah.
Thank you, everyone. It's a pleasure to meet with you. I hope you can hear me loud and clear, Ina. Great. I'm excited. So we at Days for Girls, we have really been working for, mainly with other civil society organizations in this campaign. We realized that in Ghana, there's an adage that says one broom is easier to break, but if you put it together, broomstick. If you put one broomstick, you can easily break it. But if you put it together, then it's a lot more bigger to break. So we believed in working together to achieve a lot more things. Thank you, Ina, for that illustration. So we have always believed in coming together as a group of CSOs or as a coalition, forming association and alliances in this campaign. What the problem really is the fact that, like you mentioned, the classification of menstrual product itself is a problem. The fact that it's being seen as a luxury product in Ghana is a problem. And we see that we're suffering from 2 main kinds of taxes, import tax and value added tax, right? So that's like a double slap for us women in Ghana, because we're having to pay 2 kinds of taxes over a health or a general body function that we have no control over. So that's why we're making a lot of noise about the period tax. What are we doing? How we've been trying to go around this issue is by engaging the other CSOs in the WASH sector. The big umbrella organization is CONIWAS, and CONIWAS has the big INGOs like UNICEF and WaterAid, and those ones have a lot more traction and funding. You will realize that some of these campaigns, you need a lot of consistent funding to be able to make the impact that you desire. We've also been engaging the Ministry of Education and sharing our learnings from the field with them. Because Days for Girls in our work, we engage a lot with school children in rural areas. We get to see at first hand the difficulties that the girls are dealing with in relation to accessing and even buying the pads, and how much strain that families are going to be able to provide these necessities for the children. We also are into traditional and virtual advocacy activities. We talk a lot about them, about period tax in our social media pages. We talk about that a lot when we go on the field and we are carrying out MHM trainings and advocacy and education. We always make sure that we are talking about the period tax whenever we have to meet with a dignitary or somebody who is in parliament, somebody who is a stakeholder who gets to have a say in what gets included in the budget or not. We are always sure to talk about the period tax and why it's a problem for us. In terms of what has worked and what has not worked, because of the kind of varied experiences we're having doing all these things, we have realized that, yes, we've been able to gain recognition in the field as a thought leader. However, the decision that the fact that we are a thought leader hasn't helped enough for us to be called to some specific tables in terms of decision making. For example, we should be engaging with the Parliamentary Select Committee for water or for sanitation or for education when they talk about MHM. But then when it comes to those ones, we don't hear. They'll bring the politicians, they'll bring which finance person can talk about which figure and which percentage, and then we don't get to hone in what we want to say. The period tax is still pending, like you said, after all the noise and all the talking, all the pleading, and all the effort that we have put in is still pending. And we see that it's not just still pending, it's been acknowledged. The two political parties have already put it in their manifestos. And I think it's something that they say when it is campaign time to get us all to say, oh, we're being thought of, they're considering us, but it's just so that they can get our votes and then move on. But we don't see anything. So the good thing is it's been acknowledged. That's the first step. But we need a political will to be able to move it from the budget, and that's not coming enough. And so we see that not enough push in terms of motivation is being effected, and the politicians are just making fun of we the women who are going through the tax, or we the CSOs in the industry who are consistently engaging them and carrying our message and saying these things are affecting the girls in the classroom, they are affecting the girls in the communities, and we need to look at them. So talking back from what has worked and what has not worked, we've made some progress, but then a lot still remains to be done. And in terms of what else we can do, I'm hoping that after this meeting, we're able to work more closely as CSOs or leaders of CSOs on the call right now, that we're able to work more closely with the Ministry of Gender and Education. Most importantly, petition the Ministry of Finance, because that's where the budget gets drawn. I think we need to move from the Ministry of Education and Ministry of Gender and move closely with the Ministry of Finance and let him hear us. Because if he hears us and he hears the learnings from the field and he hears the stories we have to share, then we will be able to get considered or even asked to be at the table when these decisions are made. And really, I'm hoping that after today, we're able to work together to come up with a plan that works for Ghana. Thank you.
Thank you, Nana, for this very, very concise input. And yeah, it was humble because you do so much, and I agree, you're a thought leader. And what I like when you said there is political attention, I saw a tweet that was saying menstruation is not only happening during election time. I really, that was in response to that as you just saying, that politicians make promises during election campaigns, but then nothing follows up. So I typed here your email if people want to contact you. Yeah, let's hear from, but thank you so much. I think really to the point. Let's hear now from Amos and Sylvia. we're both from the Ghana Girl Guides Association, who also campaigned under the hashtag Don't Text My Period on their experiences and activities and recommendations. Over to you. Amos, I understood you want to share your screen, right? Do you want to try? And you need to unmute yourself as well.
All right, just a minute, please.
Good, good. And in the meantime, hello again, everyone. If you could introduce yourself in the chat box, which organization you're working for and where you're based. If you're not based in Ghana, that's very welcome. Over to you, Amos and Sylvia.
Okay, hello. So I'm Sylvia from the Ghana Girl Guides Association. Nice to meet Nana. Everybody knows the job Days for Girls does. It's beautiful and we are all advocating for the same thing. We all know the government, like she said, has acknowledged that the tax should be scrapped off. We have our MP in the last MHM Day celebration acknowledged that parts are not luxury items and it has to be scrapped. It's an unnecessary tax. And we make a funny comment here that if condoms are free, why can't pads be free? Because condoms are a choice. It's a choice you make. But when I buy a pad, I don't have a choice. Ghana Girl Guides Association has been on this MHM journey for a while now. Girls are major stakeholders and we understand how the menstruation affects the holistic development of girls. And unfortunately, it's plagued with a lot of stigma, disgust, traditional issues. So we don't even talk about it enough because no girl wants to talk about it. Personally growing up, if I go to a shop to buy a pad and there's a man there, I will move to the next shop because you don't want to be attached with menstruation, though you don't have a choice. So in our approach to addressing the issue, we try to destigmatize menstruation and also advocate for the removal of the luxury taxes. And we do this through a lot of education and awareness creation because we need a lot of numbers. And if people do not know even if these taxes exist, then you will not get the necessary backing. We do a lot of training and advocacy and we do a lot of broad-based consultations. Now, we started this pure tax campaign in 2019. And that was our first attempt to this whole pure tax issue. Yes, so it was an online petition. We gathered over 2,500 signatories, and on MHM Day, it was handed over to the parliamentarians. We went to the Parliament House and handed it over. And we got a lot of learning points from there. In between 2019 and 2021, we've done a lot of work. Distributing sanitary pads, educating people, different stakeholders, from girls in schools to communities, and even our headquarters or the vulnerable in our craft. And we've also engaged in other activities with WAGGGS, who are major funders. And currently we are on a project with WAGGGS trying to reach out to 4,500 girls on menstrual hygiene management. We need these girls to join the campaign. Unless if they don't know that there's an issue at hand, we will not be able to get their support. Girls form the majority in this country. We have more females than males. So we have already a backing that exists. So in 2021, we did a lot of advocacy work and we sent our second petition. Now, one thing we learned from our first petition is that we sent it just to the parliamentarians, went to a few media stations, and that was it. But we realized that with the second petition, we need to be more strategic. So what we did is that we sent letters to all the female-headed ministries. We need the females in parliament to start talking about menstruation. It shouldn't be an NGO somewhere, a few NGOs somewhere talking about menstruation. We actually send letters to them, to the Ministry of Communication, which is headed by females. We also send letters to female or related organizations like the Ministry of Finance, just like Nana said, that they are major stakeholders. Ministry of Trade and Industry is very important because a few companies have started manufacturing parts in Ghana, but because of the taxes on the raw materials, it's still expensive. So we sent letters to all these agencies also. We need a lot of people to understand that, all menstruation is related to all these areas. It's not just about girls in school. It's not just about education. It affects these. And some of the highlights of our petition is reminding government of its promise. I think one thing government doesn't like is when you keep reminding them that, hey, you promised this, it's time for you to do it. Unfortunately, most of us do not even know there's a tax, so we are not able to hold them accountable. But we are letting them know that there are few people here who know that this tax is there and you promised us this tax. So please fulfill this promise. We're also telling Parliament that, look, as part of your responsibilities, you're supposed to, put in policies that support the development of girls and things that affects us socioeconomically. So we are saying that Parliament, do your job, do what you're supposed to do. I mean, push for, they are major stakeholders in scraping this policy. If Parliament decides that this policy should go, it would go. We are also saying that, look, we are requesting for a reduction in the taxes on the raw materials for sanitary pads. It's expensive whether we produce it here or whether we import it. So that has to be taken off. And then those are the key points in our second petition. And like we said, the letters were sent to the Parliament, to female-headed ministries, and to the first and second ladies. These are important women in our country. We need them to join this topic. One thing we can say is that when we send these letters, we got some wins because, of course, it's not Ghana Girl Guides. A lot of organizations are, doing it. And we had a letter from the Second Lady's office acknowledging that, yes, this campaign is very important, requesting to know how they can support this campaign. We have responded to them, but there's a lot of bureaucracies in the system. We are still waiting for the feedback and we are still following up on it. We had our Minister of Gender also requesting the Ministry of Finance to take off this policy. And that is also another win because we have to celebrate the little wins so that when the big one comes, we can also celebrate it. We also had most of the ministries we sent letters to also acknowledging the letters, hoping and waiting to see if they'll take more action, but we need to do more follow-ups to get that done. So these are some of our lessons from the 2 petitions we've sent. And we believe that on this platform, we are going to, take more lessons from other groups and see how we strategize towards MHM Week in the next few months.
Hi, can everybody hear me? Yeah, so MHM has a lot of challenges, and surprisingly, I haven't gone through the chat list, but it seems I'm the only male here, or would be one of the people pushing this agenda. So one of the challenges we've realized since we joined this campaign is the fragmentation in messages. We have different people working on it. Some are pushing for reusables, some are pushing for reusables in terms of like the ones with cloth, some are pushing for menstrual cups and all that. We've also realized that when you look at issues around menstruation, it's not so high on government's agenda because we've had so many policies that's been pushed through Parliament. We can mention a lot, even in the last year, but then MHM issues have not been a priority. Also, when you look at the general populace, there's very few people who understand or know that there's a tax on the menstrual products that they buy. And in this side of the world, we don't talk so much about taxes when it comes to products. But then I know on the other side of the world, we have conversations as far as the pink tax. And so we also have not been able to link MHM to key development areas like Sylvia has mentioned earlier, education, environment, the economy, how these taxes affect young people. And also the fact that we have not prioritized these taxes. We don't know how far it goes in affecting women and young girls. Some of the things that we learned is that we need to partner with like-minded institutions. So we have in this meeting, for instance, Day for Girls doing the same thing that we're doing. So there's a need for us to find common ground and then be able to partner moving forward. We've also mentioned the fact that Ghana's population, as at the last census, shows that women are 51% of the population. So at this point in time, this is a historic moment for us to push this agenda because the bulk of the population are the people who are most affected by these taxes that we're talking about. And then we also need to identify critical key points for negotiating. So what are the things that we can do, or what are some of the messages we can go with? We need to research and understand. So what is the effect of these taxes and how does it go a long way to affect women? And if these taxes are there, we're looking at the different classes in society. The most people who are affected will be the people who are based in rural communities and then in areas that are hard to reach. How do we research and ensure that our messages is not generic, and so we can be able to push tailored solutions? We need to also be consistent. We need to be able to identify influential personalities. We've targeted the ministries, we've targeted the first and second ladies. For me, as a man, we also need to look on bringing on like the male gender or males into the conversation, influential people who understand the situation of menstruation. And then we need to follow up. It looks like at some point we push, and then when we don't receive feedback, then we give up. Or sometimes we try to table the conversation and then it falls off the table. What do we have in our hands as of now? Currently, the Ministry of Education is beginning to understand that menstruation is one of the things that affects girls in school, in the sense that when you look at the number of days girls miss school, it's almost almost 7 to 14 days to 21 days in an academic term, which is a lot of days compared to how many days a boy spends in school. Another is in our hands is the fact that the president is the co-chair for the eminent group of advocates on the UN SDGs. And so prioritizing MHM is now very critical. And then we've also identified that prioritizing MHM addresses 5 of the 17 SDG goals. We talk about goal 3, we talk about well-being of people in general. We talk about education. We talk about gender equality, which is high on the agenda because he's also the AU chair for gender equality. We talk about water and sanitation, which is one of the things that we concentrate on. And we talk about reduced inequalities because we have a class system. Certain products would be okay for certain people, but then we should know that because people can't afford, generally, the most vulnerable in our societies are the people who are affected. We also need to consistently remind the government of their campaign promise. Of course, this current government has tried to live up to certain expectations with its campaign promise. There's flagship promises that they've made that they're trying to meet. This is also a promise that we can hold them accountable to and make them understand that it's a flagship promise that they need to make. The Ministry of Education is also trying as much as possible to ensure that girls are equipped with enough information so that there are more girls staying in school by 2030, which is around the period we need to have exhausted the SDGs. They're also advocating for provision of toilet facilities, which are gender-friendly with changing rooms, especially in public schools. And then they're also trying to get accessibility to products through the reduction or the removal of tax. And I think all I've heard here, especially with Nana's presentation, also has to do with the removal of taxes. So we are not even asking for the reduction because we know how that will still affect certain people in society. What are our next steps? For us as an organization, the Ghana Girl Guides has currently started a project called For Girls to Thrive. So this project is basically looking at creating advocacy and awareness, as well as engaging people from all sectors in broad consultations. Now, these consultations, we're looking at the people who are most affected by the issues, trying to identify the knowledge gaps, attitudes, and practices. And one of the things that is mostly not talked about has to do with power relations. We know how a lot of girls in rural communities are taken advantage of by people in certain positions of power just so they can be able to afford sanitary pads, and how that has affected the numbers in schools. We've also realized that when it comes to issues around menstruation, there is a broad solution that is being developed. We're saying that let's develop tailored solutions that affects the different demographics. So we know that girls in rural communities might probably not be comfortable using the menstrual cups because of how much it costs, and also all these cultural practices and cultural ideologies around virginity, breaking of hymen and all that. So if girls in rural communities can afford to use reusable pads, then let's tailor solutions to them so that the people who can afford to use menstrual cups can also have that. And then as an association, part of our activities has introduced reusable pads. We've taught girls how to make it and all that. But then we're looking at how best to get people to understand the need to turn to reusable. So if it's the menstrual cup or the reusable pads that we all know, the washable reusable pads, so that we look at it from the economic perspective, and we also look at it from the environmental perspective. Because when you do the economics of menstruation, you realize that girls spend a lot of money, or women spend a lot of money buying sanitary pads. But then if you are using reusables, then at least there's an ample amount of money that is saved to get people to understand that at least they are making some savings. This third part of the project is in partnership with Real Relief because of the products and then the technology that it has. For us, addressing these things would help us reach out to more girls. Currently, we have 11 girls pilots in a project like this, trying to reach as many as 2,000 girls by the end of the year, introducing them and getting them to use reusables. Thank you very much, and we're happy to be here.
Thank you, Xavier. So, thank you both. First of all, thank you, Sylvia, for celebrating the small successes. So a big clap to all of you who are here and advocating. So stay positive. I think that's really great to celebrate the journey that you're on. And thank you, Amos, for bringing the tension, how MHM is situated into different aspects, and that there are really ACE opportunities also within the SDG context, and specifically in Ghana. I like that you both brought to the attention that there are more females in Ghana than males. So interesting. I didn't know that. Great point. Another person with whom we want to celebrate small achievements is, just give me a second. This is the one. Yes. Is Lily Pearl Baba Utu. She's from Bridge for Equity, and just showing you, what she has done. So over to you, Lily Pearl, to share your journey and your activities and learnings.
All right. Amazing job, by the way, from Days for Girls and from Ghana Girls Guide. When I was a junior, when I was young, in junior high school, I was part of Ghana Girls Guide. I'm actually very proud of you guys.
Lily, you have to come back. We are celebrating centenary and we need you back. So sorry to interrupt, but we are looking for all these I was once a girl guide people, and we want you back home. So please join us.
I will. Anyway, so we are Bridge for Equity Ghana. What we do is gender education. We provide women with employable skills through baking, and we run a tuition-free basic school. And the issue of sanitary pad becoming an issue came up to us in 2019. We go to a lot of communities to engage the young people, especially girls. And then we realized that girls were absenting themselves from school. There were some that did not find any interest in school. There were parents that were not taking their girls to school. And I was shocked when the reason I got was because they could not afford sanitary pad. It was very weird for me because, I mean, we had heard over the years how, sanitary pad was an issue and people were using racks and all of that. But then to give that as a main reason why girls were not coming to school, it looked like common knowledge. It felt like, but where have you been? Girls don't come to school because they don't have access to sanitary pads. I thought it would have been something else. Then maybe sanitary pad would be a sub reason, but it was the number one reason. And this was in Dambai, in the northern Volta part of the Volta region. So that was when we came back, and then we wanted to, do something about it. But in analyzing what we could do, we realized that the major problem had to do with the tax that was on it. The second problem that we also identified was the fact that we did not have many people producing sanitary pads in Ghana. Then, so we decided that, all right, if the problem is about the taxes on sanitary pads and then the local production of it, the only thing we could do was to start a campaign. Get government to scrap off the taxes on sanitary pads and then enable local production. These were the two main things we were campaigning for. And so we started a no pad tax campaign. And before the campaign, we realized that some other people had also, done works on it, but there was nothing being said about it. No one was really like government action. So every MHM day, we get UNICEF, Plan Ghana, all the other big organizations organizing events, talking about the same thing, but government wasn't doing it. So thankfully for us, when we started our campaign, it was during the pandemic. And so everyone was on social media, like virtually everyone was on social media. So it blew. As part of the campaign, we were thinking of going to media houses to, talk to them, but eventually media houses were coming to us. That was the way I realized that, okay, we were making a huge impact. So from there, the volunteers we work with suggested we take a petition to the gender ministry. We were supposed to go around, take physical petitions, but because of COVID, we couldn't do that. We did it online, and we're thinking that we're going to get about 2,000 or 5,000, but we got over 15,000 petition signatories when we sent it to the gender minister. So one thing we have identified, let me just skip quickly. After we took it to the gender ministry, one thing we realized was that there was nothing else we could do than to just continue advocating on social media, going to schools to speak to the girls and even to their teachers. And then most importantly, we decided to get a lot more boys on board because it just looked like a female issue. And I mean, the boys didn't really care. So we saw that it was another barrier. So we decided to get more boys on board. Now, what has worked? I can't really pinpoint and if anything has worked apart from awareness creation, because the goal is to take off the taxes from the pad. And if that is done, we can, move forward. We applied for the presidential pitch, and I actually learned how to do the reusable sanitary pad from Days for Girls. I'm an alumnus from Plan Ghana, so we joined them. They taught us. We went to the KIA. We did all those things with them, and so it was one of the. So in our presidential pitch, we're pitching for enabling local production and then reusable sanitary pads. Reusable sanitary pads because we realized the girls were already using rags. They already knew how to use rags and husk, corn husk for menstruation, banana leaves. So we felt okay, reusable would be a better option. But this time around in our pitch, we made it more hygienic by introducing charcoal reusable sanitary pads because charcoal has some properties that kills microbes that are generated from menstruation, and that's what the sanitary part of about. Unfortunately, we couldn't win that grant. So what we think will work right now is government taking off the taxes, enabling local production, and as Sylvia and her team said that enabling it is not enough, but they need to reduce the prices of the raw materials that can be used to produce here, because if it's being produced here, then it makes it easier for to create jobs, access, and all of that. And lesson learned, we've learned that follow-up is very important. We've done only one follow-up ever since we did the petition, because we got there was a shuffle in the the ministry. There was a reshuffle, and up till now we've still not had access to the Adra Safo. She's the gender minister, and we've still not had access to her. But then we got her last year to speak on it, and she said she had sent the petitions to the finance ministry, and she's just waiting for the finance ministry. So I think I'll pick on what Days for Girls and Girls Guide are saying, that we need to start from we need to go to the finance ministry and hear from them. Let's see what the problem is and why they can't take the taxes off. And then influence. We are not using a lot of influential people. That's one thing I've also realized. We are all organizations, and people expect us to be the people to be given the sanitary pads for free because we are NGOs and we are freebies. But then I think it's high time that we get influential people like actors, musicians, people who have following, to create awareness and also to set an agenda to mount pressure on government to scrap it. And then finally, collaboration.
Okay, I think Nana stopped. Like her last point was collaboration. Let's see if she comes back. Nana, you back? Lily Pearl, are you back? No? Okay. Let's see if she's able to come back or she dropped off. But I just moving on, I think she made some really good points and pointers, and there's so many overlaps in what you all said. I really also think what she said about influencers. We see a lot of activities from you targeting the government directly, which is great. Having these petitions, and Lily Pearl went on social media as well. But yeah, having I haven't heard from all of you like bringing influencers and famous people who just get really big attention and hold government accountable. That can also be an opportunity. It's now 10 to 8. So what I wanted to do with you is actually an action plan. So give me, you have the link, right? So my colleague Aya is putting the link into the chat box, but we can also do it that I'm going to share the screen in a second. The idea is that collaboration is key, and you all said that, and I'm really glad that you're all here, and I think this is a starting point for a journey. So we're, as WASH United, we're not going to develop for you a campaign. It's you in Ghana. We're going to think what is still possible, what needs to be done or could be done collaboratively, and there's a lot of pointers that we heard. So we can do it on twofold. So we're sharing the link that you can access this very easy Jamboard where you can share your ideas, but you can also type in the chat box if you're not able to access the Jamboard, or raise if you want to share your ideas over the mic. We'll open the microphone too, and we'll add that to the Jamboard too. Okay, give me a second. So I'll share my screen that you can see the Jamboard. Yes. Where it is? Where is it? My board note. And here it is. Can you see the Jamboard? Already worked. So we have 10 minutes, and as I said, this is just the beginning, and like a good action plan. First, collect some ideas, what you've been brainstorming, what you think can still be done or should be done, and collect ideas. And we can discuss what is really feasible and what you like, and then see who wants to lead on this and who can support and when. So I already see, so for example, I put already, like, you can think about doing a social media campaign around MH Day. Someone has posted a great idea to go to do a march to the parliament on MHM. Just to say, you just add the sticky notes here at the side. So that's how you add a sticky note. But is there maybe, before we struggle with technology, is there someone from the audience who wants to add your voice and your ideas and suggestions over the microphone? And I'm happy to do so and unmute you. You can raise your hand and, or maybe simply unmute yourself.
Yeah, I'll jump in. I thought the point that the man, I'm sorry, I can't remember your name, brought up was really interesting, that he said that they found that most of the general population doesn't know about this tax. And so I think that's absolutely a gap. And I know someone else said in the comment box, it'd be interesting to see how we can address that, because, you know, when people are aware of what's happening and how it's impacting them, we might be able to get them more on board.
Just adding this as a point. Thank you, Diana.
Okay, so just to get the conversation, I think we also need to appeal to the emotions of people. I think come up with a video. I mean, it could be a short video on the impact of these period taxes on girls, especially when we go to the rural areas, and how some of these girls are missing schools because they can't afford a pad. I think a video to show it would appeal to a lot of people's emotional feelings. Yeah.
I like that a lot of things that you already have in mind can be combined. So for example, on MHK, you can do a march onto the parliament and at the same time combine this with a social media campaign and videos and etc. So that is great. Demonstration will work, appeal for timelines for implementation. Yes, you can have really call out the government to say you promised and hold your promise. There's an issue came up about influencers and collaboration. Are there any ideas and activities that you could propose or have already in mind how to strengthen these areas? Just as a pointer, but if anyone else is wanting to share your ideas, please feel free to unmute yourself and contribute. Mm-hmm. Engaging male influencers, yes. I think that the point, Amos, you raised and also others, is that if you work with influencers, don't shy away to target males and go in and as allies. Mm-hmm. Ion, okay, Sonde, you can unmute yourself if you want to.
All right, thank you. So I was also thinking that since we have different organizations here that they're working on the same menstrual hygiene, how about we have like a collaboration of all these organizations, like maybe assemble themselves maybe at the center of Ghana, Accra, then maybe do like a walk on just one message, everyone passing the same message. So I feel when there is like a collaboration of all these forces and in one place, is going to like draw the attention of the government and know that this is a very important issue that they have to look into. And so maybe during this walk, we can they can engage some of the influencers, and because it's going to be a big and a large community, so it's going to be really profound, and they might we might be able to get the attention of the government to know that they should take quick and fast action on this issue. Thank you.
Thank you, Sonda. I think, yeah, you're right. And in terms of influencers, I mean, we've seen that UNICEF had their influencers who went alongside their campaigns a few years ago. I think also if you get media attention, I think influencers also like that. So if you do a campaign and they get, they really are convinced of the issue, they really are behind it, and then they really also get more popularity because they got picked up. So Amos, you want to contribute?
Yeah, I'm thinking the use of influencers, sometimes when you look at other bodies that are also forming like in the coalition that is like trying to get the tax removed, most of these influencers are far off from the people. So there are influencers that people on the ground can't relate to. So I think in our bid to find influencers, we need to find people who are real champions of the people on the ground, who speak to the issues of the people, and not like some abstract superstar somewhere who is just going to pass through for a couple of minutes of like photos, and then that's it, doesn't say anything on their socials and all that. I think these are the things that we need to start looking at, not too abstract people, but people who understand the issues. Then we can make progress from there. So in engaging influence, I think that's one of the things that we should look at. I think someone has also said in the Kenyan context, government passed it as part of the MHM Act. I think in Ghana, we should be looking at countries that have successfully passed laws on the removal of these taxes, and then see what they did. So looking at like, how do I call it, best approaches or lessons then we can pick these lessons and then be able to develop approaches. And I think currently, if Ghana Girl Guys and Day for Girls and all other campaigners can sit down and actually come to the table together. This is one thing we are all fighting for. Like I said, our issue is not on reduction of the taxes of the luxury tax, but it's like total removal. So we seem to be speaking the same language. Our approach is what is fragmented. So if we can come together and strategically develop like one straight point approach from different program points, then I think we should be able to achieve something. Thank you.
Thank you, Amos. And I think this, for me, it would be great if from this meeting we have a network of people and an email trail, and let alone, you've done already so great things. And if it's not you alone, but other organizations who co-sign a petition or co-run with you and know what you're doing and have a joint hashtag, I think we're going a long way. And happy to use this forum and the mailing list so that you maintain connected. Zakia, you also raised your hand.
Yes, briefly, let me add this. I'm happy to be on and to meet all of you. I'm happy to see some of our representatives from WAGGGS and talking about this issue. I think at this point, we realize that there are a lot of people speaking the same language. The issue here in Ghana is that most of the time we talk about it and we leave it. You realize that we make a lot of noise about it only in May. And prior to that, there are other issues that we are dealing with. I think that probably this time around, we should look at best ways of talking about this regularly. I mean, every month or as much as we can, even before MHM Day and after MHM Day. We should have this continuous education, continuous engagement at all levels. And I believe that the more we push, definitely we are going to get some results at the end of the day. Now, if you're able to get some collaboration with a media station, and we are running this periodically on maybe a particular program, I think this would also ring a bell and we'll be able to attract more people and bring more attention to what you're talking about. So for me, it's a matter of us all coming together, that is one, and how much we push this as often as we can, not only during MHM Day, but before and after that period. Yes, thank you.
Thank you. One of the learnings, just to add, related to what you said, Zakia, thank you, and Amos, what are the windows of opportunities is that not only election time, but it's like there's a financial year and discussion that goes into the parliament, and probably that's on an annual basis for you. So just try to find this opportunity where the discussions are happening in the parliament, in the financial among the financial ministry, and that might not be May, right? And the more you do continuously and then use other key pointers, that's right, and include the media. Aya, you raised your hand.
To read you some of the ideas of the participants, we have actually Angeline that is proposing to use Don't Tax My Period all year long, so to have a continuous action. Elena has also proposed to compare the amount of money spent on taxes on other goods to MHM products, as it is also mentioned in the advocacy guide. And finally, in the same line as civil society organizations, we have RG that is proposing the engagement of the local community itself. Thank you everyone for your comments.
Thank you, Aya, for chipping in. Aya is, by the way, one of our new assistants, so you will probably hear from her moreover. Thank you, Aya. So just looking at the time, I'm very happy to keep this still open, but it seems like there is, and if you want to still continue, for me, the next steps would be that I'll share with you not only the talk today and the presentation, but also really we summarize from today and the action plan, and connect you with, like, have a mailing list of Ghanaian partners And if you start to plan your MHD activities or your year-round activities, I heard you, Sakaya, that you know to whom to reach out to and coordinate. And we still have a few months ahead of MHD, but I think there's already some great ideas. We as an MHD Secretariat, we're always happy to support and leverage what you're doing and give you visibility and so on, but that's from the global level, but I feel you know much better what's happening on your local level. I really love this idea of combination of a march to hold the government accountable, which is also very impressive, social media campaign with voices of girls, statements of men, boys and men, and maybe targeting influencers. Continue using "Don't Tax My Period" as the main campaign hashtag, which is great because then you also find activities of others and can retweet and repost. I think that's really nice. Any reflection and comments from your side? Lynette?
Yes, thank you so much, Ina. I just wanted to add on something. I know it might be very, very hard to reach maybe the members of parliament, those who are at higher levels, but for our brothers and sisters from Ghana, they can also think of consistency. You see, when you start doing something, it should be consistent. And also you should know, like if you want to remove the task, it should be that should be the theme for all other organizations as well. Not that for Ghana Girl Guides, they want to campaign for removal of tax, and then the others are advocating for, let's say, menstrual cups and all that. So consistency is very, very important. And also the approaching of the lawmakers, more so the women reps or women leaders who are sitting in the parliament, because they are, I don't know if there is devolution in Ghana, but with them, they are going on the ground and they're seeing what's happening on the ground, I mean. So it's very important to approach them because they do campaign on the ground and they want the vote from those same girls who are suffering from the high or maybe the taxes on menstrual products. And also I wanted to add, they also need to approach the civil society organizations like churches and maybe online groups, those who are influential, and also the NGOs and cooperatives. They will also help in this. I also wanted to add on the area advisory. And they should be, they need, I know in each area, there is a committee, even the village groups. So they need to approach such groups because that's where they will know how much the girls are being affected by this. And also making good use of the media houses because they are the ones who are going to air out what's affecting the girls. Yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Lynette, for sharing your experiences. Amos, you raise your hand again.
Yeah, so I think what we can do, like Nana has said, over the last couple of years, social media has proven to be like a very effective tool, like in Ghana for advocacy. We've seen rise of several reactionary groups to a lot of issues that people have been against. I think we can find a way to sit down and collaborate as two organizations and then strategically plan a social media campaign that we can run all year round, deciding on a particular hashtag that is easy to trace and easy to use so that everybody can join. That I think that's something that we can do and wouldn't have to be so conscious of the cost involved in doing that. So we can look at these little things and as organizations in Ghana be able to develop from there. Then we can feed into these campaigns from the different activities you are running on the ground to see where we move from there. So I believe I speak for, sorry, my chief commissioner is here and then my programs coordinator is here. I believe I speak the same mind when I say we can start conversations on that front to see how best we can strategically use social media to our advantage in this campaign. Thank you.
Thank you, Amos. That's appreciated. And it's right in line with what Lynette said. Just speaking with one message and being consistent. And I think that's also what we saw in MHD global campaign, where we all ask partners to follow the same hashtag or the same slogans and so on. Each one is doing little individual, but there's something that unites us, and that is like the hashtag, the logo, and also make it easy by having materials that others can share super easily or contribute and develop the same materials with same message. Okay, I continue for 5 more minutes because there's still some raised hands, and we're going to document this. Amerly.
Yeah, thank you very much. I'm Ambassador Amele, former ambassador to Denmark. I'm happy to be here, I am in for what you are doing. I want to add my voice to the awareness creation, how best we can create the awareness for especially the people at the grassroots level to know what is happening and also add their voices. I am thinking we can use the opinion leaders in the grassroots, at the grassroots level, for them to understand and how the teenagers are going through with this unhygienic racks and that kind of thing. If we make them to understand what is going on, they can also add their voices. The media will work, but they can also come together and appeal to the government. I am working with an organization trying to partner with them. They are in Denmark, the Real Relief, so that they can produce reusable pad in Ghana. So this is what I want to say. That is very, very important, especially with the advocacy and awareness creation at the grassroots level. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Emily. Yes, we had Gina from Real Relief also here, and so on. So yeah, it's good to combine the call to action with real action. So you also see some solutions coming up. Asking Aya, is there still a few comment in the chat box?
We have sorry, we have a last comment from Josephine that is proposing to approach the industry, so manufacturers and retailers of the sanitary products.
Yes, good suggestion. We had this done in Germany as well when they removed the tax. So they had allies from the industry who also called on the removal of taxes. And I think especially for the finance minister, if they see their, as we talked about local production, what you said, if the companies call for removal of import taxes to make cheaper products, it's super powerful when not only NGOs are calling for the removal, but also companies, because that's who the Ministry of Finances really cares for. Yeah, wonderful. I think this is it's been a really rich discussion, and I'm really amazed about all your experiences and progress so far. So again, give yourself a big clap. I hope from today, we saw that you already done a lot, but there's collaboration possibilities, so that you're sending petitions not only in the name of your organizations, but maybe signed by 10 or 20 more organizations in your countries, that you develop a campaign and you think about the same hashtag and you share the materials with others. So as promised, I will send to all people who registered today and who also are our Ghanaian partners the presentation, the recording, and a link to the ideas and action plans. I will follow up with you all in 2 months' time to hear if something has come to fruition, to really poke you a little bit. If you have plans, so that everyone is aware, because sometimes in these meetings we're all enthusiastic and then we forget to tell others what we're planning. So I had definitely, I would say mid-April, latest mid-April, yeah, early mid-April, we connect to you again to hear what's happening. But please connect among yourselves in the meantime. If you're planning to do this, you'll get some contact emails that you can connect. You don't need me to do this, because no one in Ghana knows me. But yeah, so that is my promise. I will follow up with you and continue to connect you and try to poke you, and hope that we can turn this in action on MH Day, but also year round. So yeah, thank you very much for today's call. I learned a lot from you as well. This was great. And if you, well, I'll share my screen with the contacts. So second. So yeah, you'll get my contacts, and I really want to thank Days for Girls, the World Association of Girl Guides and Girl Scouts, the Ghana Girl Guide Association, and Lily Per from Bridge for Equity to be present here, and everyone else who joined the webinar. It was really a pleasure, and you will hear from me. That's a warning. Have a good rest of the day.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Bye.
much.
All right.